So I think I owe you an explanation about the Fuji Pro 400H episode and more specifically the camera I used. I've mentioned the problem with missing and broken frames, but at the same time I've called it the Portrait King. So now it's a good time to face the facts about Pentacon 6. Pentacon 6 was released in 1956 as Practica 6, then the name changed to Pentacon 6, and finally to Pentacon 6 TL, which is the model I have. In the US, Pentacon was sold as Hanimex Practica 66, but it's still the same camera. TL may suggest that there is a built-in light meter, but well, it's not. They've changed the name because of introducing a prism with TTL metering, but it was optional, so my camera is with standard waist level viewfinder. Well, I should probably mention at the beginning that this is a medium format camera, which shoots 6x6 frames, so Instagram friendly format. And that's why I bought it. It is probably one of the cheapest SLRs to choose if you're into square format, but before we gonna talk, is it the right choice? Let's take a look at it. So Pentacon is a fully mechanical camera. You can set the ISO and the type of film you're using, but it's just a reminder. And well, if someone doesn't remember what film they put in the camera, they may probably forget why they actually hold the camera in their hands, so yeah, it's not a game changer for me. Shutter speed from 1 second to 1/1000th with bulb setting and flash mode, which is probably 1/30th of a second. Of course, no hot shoe, but a PC socket, so you need a special cable, which you can find in the attic right between Sony Ericsson charger and fax connector for Nokia i52. On the other side, film advanced lever with shutter count and self-timer, which is a must in a professional camera. Because, well, behind the Iron Curtain, Pentacon was considered as a professional camera. I mean, in Poland, true photographers in the movies always had Pentacon. Speaking of professional stuff, this camera has not one but two viewfinders. Standard waist level viewfinder with magnifying glass, which is a little bit too small.
That's what she said!
Yeah, I said it only to put this in here, but seriously, while looking through it you see only the central part of the frame, so it helps to focus, but before composing you have to close it. And well, the viewfinder is dim. There's no problem outside, but sometimes seeing something on this viewfinder indoors is quite a challenge. The second viewfinder is a sport viewfinder, which looks like this. So it's as useful as chocolate kettle, case-sensitive search engine, or a quit smoking app on my iPhone. But if you don't give a shit about framing or focusing, it's probably gonna work for you. Of course, there are some different viewfinders available. The most common is the one with TTL metering, but it's heavy, not very comfortable to use, so it's much easier to even use a light meter app, if you ask me. Pentacon was made to be used in this vintage cover, because there are no strap locks except maybe these things here, but you need some special straps which are hard to find these days to mount it safely. And the cover itself consists of two parts, so you can take this big thing off and it becomes more practical if you are not going to change film very often. But still, standard eyelets on the edge of the body would be a God's blessing. And with no regrets I will exchange the ISO reminder for them. In this whole story there is one bright point, the kit lens. Pentacon was sold with Zeiss 80mm f2.8, which is a real banger for its price and probably is responsible for, let's say, this Pentacon legend. You know, while shooting film cameras the thing that matter are the lens and the film. A camera is simply a box that combines these two with the job of opening a shutter for a given time. I have an early version of this lens with this zebra-like ring, but the later black version is pretty much the same, and if you're into portraits, this $100 piece of glass is worth trying. The bokeh is so smooth with no weird shapes, the image has this specific vintage soft character, so if we are talking about the king, here it is. I mean the lens. But hey, praise aside, because now it's time to explain what happened in the Fuji Pro 400H episode, and if you are considering buying Pentacon, it's the most important part for you. So first of all, the mechanism in Pentacon 6 is very sensitive, with a lot of issues. You should advance the film gently, not letting the lever go back itself. The most common problem are overlapping frames, and that was the main thing I was afraid of while buying Pentacon. So I bought it in a store which claimed that they check every used camera. There was a 6-month warranty, and after shooting the first roll, it turned out that maybe the frames are not overlapping, but the shutter curtain is not closing properly. So I sent it back. It took almost 2 months to fix the problem. They changed this whole thing responsible for advancing the film and tensioning the shutter. I bought the Portra 160 for a test, and it seemed that everything was fine. Until the session with Claudia. The first frame was cut in half. I said in the video that I thought that it was my mistake while loading the film, but I recorded the whole process and everything was done properly. I couldn't find an explanation for the missing last frame, but the answer was exposed on the roll. So the gaps between the frames are uneven and huge. Although I shot only 2 rolls with Pentacon, it seems that again something is wrong with it. And well, it's pretty common that these cameras need to be adjusted from time to time, but after 24 shots it's a little bit ridiculous. My plan for now is to shoot 1 more roll with it, just to make sure that there was nothing wrong with spooling or advancing the film, and I will make a video about it for sure. I found a website with some explanations about how all those cogs and springs are working and what may cause the problem. I don't understand it at all, but to prevent overlapping frames, it's suggested to hold the shutter button while advancing the film. Also, I found a video where it said that important thing is to maintain pressure on film while loading it by holding the spool with your thumb, so I'm gonna try this and maybe that's gonna help. But the thing is that Pentacon 6 is an over 50-year-old camera made in East Germany, so you can't expect that it's gonna work like Mamiya or Hasselblad. And all the problems I've mentioned are not just isolated cases or just my bad luck, so well, it's not a bad gear for $300, especially considering the lens, but let's say it requires some effort to use, and it's good to have a repair shop nearby for sure.